When I first started making work, I was kind of enamored by just the throwing, but then it quickly changed from that to trying to figure out how to make that raw clay into something solid. When I was 16, I built my first working kiln. After high school, I did a short internship at the St. John's Pottery, and then I went on to Utah State specifically to work with the wood kilns that they had there. After 1 year, I decided that I wanted to keep making art. So I spent the summer in South Korea working with my teacher, Oh Hyung Jung, who's a traditional ongi maker. So he makes pieces for pickling and fermentation and in the traditional Korean style. And I came back to Minnesota at the end of that summer and built another kiln and just tried to make a go of it, selling functional work and sculptural work. All of my skill development has come through working in numbers. And pottery is a numbers game. But my problem that I struggle with is that people don't want to use pottery. They generally feel like it's too delicate and it's too unique, so they don't want to break it. They don't want to lose that. Making sculpture for me came out of this desire to make objects that can just sit on a mantle, that don't have any purpose other than to look at. My investigation into sculptural forms has been driven by the limitations of the native clays, the way it takes on water, the rate of drying, the way you can handle it because of its strength or density. I use native clays because it allows me to connect with my place that I live and my community. The effect that I'm looking for and that I'm interested in pursuing, it can only be achieved using wood-fired native clays. So this is a decomposing granite, and this comes from the Montevideo area, and this actually came from a deep well that was dug for the water treatment plant. So this really represents the crown jewel of Minnesota clays. My process begins with the raw clay. I slake it down in water. Once the water is absorbed into the dry material, I can pass it through a screen to remove all of the impurities. And then I have to let the water settle out, and then I will take the slurry and dry it out into a working plastic clay. At that point, I can make a piece, whether I'm working on the wheel or sculpting. And that can take up to 6 months to build up a body of work. The process of preparing for the kiln starts about the same time that I start processing my clay for that next making cycle. So I will start moving wood, splitting wood, making sure that when I'm ready to fire the kiln, all I have to do is light the fire and drink a cup of coffee and enjoy. On a good firing, I'll get about 50% of what I'm firing. I'd like to say it's more than that, but in all honesty, I'd say I keep about half of what I make and what I fire. But I'm always pulling out what doesn't really quite make the cut. And sometimes I just don't like the work, so I just start over. I feel free. I feel like it's the only place that I belong. Clay is a constant opportunity to look at myself. It shows me my impermanence. It humbles me. It allows me to connect with people. For me, it's making pottery is not an end. Firing the kiln isn't an end. It is merely that journey I'm on. It's taken me across the world, and it's brought me here, and who knows where it will take me.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts, offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflections Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota. Explore hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for a great vacation or a place to hold an event. ExploreAlex.com. Tri-State Brain and Spine Institute, with locations in Alexandria, Edina, Crookston, and Maple Grove. Doctors dedicated to evaluating and treating all types of brain and spine problems, no matter how complex.